everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you the Pick a Stick Challenge art journal page from Art Joy of Sharing Art Community. We used to have a Pick a Stick Challenge group on Facebook for over 5 years, and at the beginning of this year, we decided to just blend it in with our Art Joy of Sharing Art Community because, you know, it's a lot to manage. So, um, we offer the Pick a Stick Challenge, which is a randomly drawn one word prompt challenge with 10 prompts. You use the first 6 in order. You can replace one of them with a wild card if you don't like it or you're stuck. And then there are 2 color prompts. I'm starting out with prompt number 1, which is graffiti. And I have this stencil that's called Letter Mania from Stencil Girl. And I think this looks like graffiti and I think it's such a cool stencil. I wanted to use it. But as we were talking about the different challenges from Art Joy of Sharing this month, one of the challenges is to use fluid media. And that could be watercolor, that could be acrylic ink, that could be distress, that could be anything that can be fluid. And so I decided to use watercolor to start out my background. So I have out some Arteza watercolors in a pan that I made myself and some Koi Sakura, made by Sakura watercolors. And I just wanted to use colors of green because of the color pistachio, which is one of the prompts. Not all these are pistachio, but there's definitely pistachio in there. And pistachios can come in different colors, right? They're not always the same. So I made this really cool watercolor stenciled background. This paper is cut 10 by 10. This is a art journal that I made myself with 80-pound inexpensive watercolor paper. So I wanted to do mixed media and I decided I better seal this up just because, I'm going to put other stuff over it and I don't want it to smear. It looks so cool. I just like it. So I put some fluid matte medium on there, a few drops, and then I rolled it over the watercolor paper with a brayer to seal that background in so that now it's permanent. I don't need to worry about it smearing or running or moving while I'm adding more stuff to it. Then I decided I really wanted to add some of the other color, which is cocoa, and I should have just waited to seal it until after I did this, but I was still into that whole graffiti, asemic writing weird. I just still wanted to do that. So I got the brown Stabilo Woody pencil out. They're like the big fat Stabilo pencils. They're water activated as well. They come out, they look kind of like crayons until you put water on it. It's a cool product. And so I just scribbled across there and then I activated it with a little water to make it look less crayony. And then, of course, I cut it out, but I had to seal that too. So I did the same process. I put some fluid matte medium on there and drops and just brayered it over, dried it with the heat tool. I just didn't think you needed to watch that. I mean, I think you've seen that before. The next prompt was letters. And this is the live stream. This is a speed up voiceover version of the live stream. We live stream on Art Joy of Sharing every Thursday at 8:30 Pacific, 10:30 Central. You can figure out what time that is in your place that you live. But Peg was using some rub-ons, and I thought, you know what? I have rub-on letters. They're actually ones that Peg sent me, and they're green. And so I grabbed some of them and just rubbed on some of the letters over the cocoa area. And that pretty much covered cocoa, pistachio, graffiti, and letters. So then the next prompt was quirky. And I was thinking, well, first I was thinking, okay, cocoa and pistachio, that's dessert, right? I mean, those might be colors, but that's dessert. And I had this catalog of baking products. And so I cut some of the desserts out of it that one that I showed at first, that's pistachio and chocolate right there. That's cocoa and pistachio. And then I found a cupcake that had the right colors. I found this cake and then I thought, oh, I could make a quirky human because the next prompt number 4, is human. And it's fun to do like funny collage people with, you take different parts of different people and you put them together and you make them into these quirky people. This is something you've seen before. I know people have been doing, but I thought that would be fun. I haven't done that in a long time. So then I thought, when I saw this cake, which is a cocoa cake, that it looked like a skirt. And I thought I can combine my dessert with my person and make it a quirky dessert person. So before the show, I cut out a bunch of stuff. I cut out the top part of the girl. I cut out the cake. I cut out the desserts. I cut out some chocolate drops. I cut out a ring from a picture to make her a crown and this kind of a scarf thing because I thought that the the turtleneck top that she was wearing was too boring. Too boring. So I found that sort of a thing and cut it and trimmed it and I just built all this stuff up and did all the fussy cutting before the show because nobody wants to watch that. And even if I'd made it for this speed up version, I would have cut that part out because fussy cutting is boring. So now I'm gluing all the parts together before I glue them into the art journal. I cut out some legs because she needs something to stand on, so I put those on. And then a fun way to make a quirky human if you're doing magazine collage is to change their eyes. Just makes them look funny. I don't know why. It just makes them look quirky, and the whole point was quirky human, right? So I cut out some different eyes, two different eyes to put on her. And what else? There's chocolate drops. I know that. So then I'm just going to glue all these different pieces. I'm auditioning them onto the page to get some type of balance and then, like a more interesting layout. I don't like things to be exactly in the middle. I like odd numbers of things. So I've got three large things, the cupcake, the girl, and the pistachio chocolate dessert. And I want to offset the girl a little bit. I want to make them a little bit wonky. Don't like them to be bam, bam, bam in the middle. I just think that's not as pleasing to the eye. So then once I have all that stuff glued down, I put on her funny eyes. One's bigger, they're just funny, quirky. They're quirky. And then I glue down all the chocolate drops. So I'm done with quirky human, I guess. I glue down the chocolate drops around as well. I think. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing next. Yeah. These are giant chocolate chips. Don't they look delicious? Delicious. Chocolatey and cocoa-y. I'm using Yoo-Hoo glue stick. I kind of got into this after watching Mary Beth Shaw. She uses Yoo-Hoo glue stick in her journals. That's the only thing she uses. I've always used matte medium, but this is a transient page. I mean, yeah, it's going to stay in the book, but it's not going to get touched much. I mean, maybe someday it'll get looked at, but ultimately it doesn't have to be artist quality. I'm not going to put it on the wall. So I think that the glue stick is just fine for this type of project. I also use a mostly dry baby wipe when I use the glue stick. I put the glue stick on and then I press the thing down and then I smooth over it with the dry baby wipe. And I wipe off any excess glue stick because I'm messy. But there is no sealing over the top of these. When you do it this way with the glue stick, you're not actually sealing the paper over the top. Whereas when I put things on with matte medium, I go over the top and seal it down. So it gets really sealed in there in between the layers of matte medium, which is definitely more permanent. So the next prompt number 5, was finger. And I did need to fix her boots because they had some letters over the top of them. So I finger painted some black acrylic over the letters. And then I thought, you know what? On this cupcake over here, there's some pink, but there's not any pink in the rest of the composition. I thought, oh, I'll finger paint some pink. And so I got out pink acrylic and then I just went a little bit overboard. I couldn't stop. I wanted to finger paint. I just wanted to finger paint. So I got a lot of pink finger paint on there. But it's a very quirky, weird page, and there's no wrong way to art journal. It's not like you can do it wrong. So that took care of prompt number 5, which was finger. The next prompt was staple. And I took that very literally that I was going to staple something, and I really didn't want to. And then somebody in the chats, I think it was Sybil, said staple could also be like a staple of something that you use, like matte medium. You use it all the time, right? That's a staple. Ink, you use it all the time. That's a staple. Smart lady. But I didn't think of that. I was going to literally staple something on here. So I took a manila shipping tag and I cut it down so that it was shorter. And I decided to make some words on my page. And I thought it would be really fun to do uh, like ransom note writing where you have all these different letters, but I didn't have time on the live stream show to sit there and cut out a bunch of letters. So instead, I used my brother P-Touch label maker and I mixed up the letters so that some were capital and some were small. I printed it on the largest font and then I cut apart the words and it makes it look it gives you that idea of the ransom note type writing, but it's definitely not that. But it does give you sort of that funny, weird, quirky way of writing. It would have taken me forever to cut out enough letters to make my words. So it says, when all else fails, eat dessert. I truly believe that. That's probably why I look the way I do. I really like sugar. I like dessert. Um, and I don't see anything wrong with treating yourself with a little bit of sweets every once in a while. So I cut out a heart-shaped cookie to glue on there. I did change the color of the background to white because everything else was white and that tag was manila colored, like off-white, and it just didn't look right. So I put some gesso over it and then went around the edges with the potting soil colored ink. That's an archival ink. And then I glued on my little cookie because sugar cookies with frosting, yum, yum. That probably has fondant on it, which not so good. Frosting's better, buttercream, but whatever, it's pretty. And then I took all my sticker words, which I made on my label maker, and stuck them down. The tape, it just splits in the middle and you peel it apart. It's pretty easy to use. The only thing you can't do with this P-Touch label maker stuff is to ever put heat on it because the printing process on the tape is done with heat on a heat sensitive paper. And I discovered this the hard way, of course. I'm trying to, dry something and my heat tool runs over the letters and then the paper turns brown. So just a little tip there. Don't put your heat tool on your label maker papers. So then to attach this to the page, I'm going to use, yes, a stapler. The stapler has bright green staples in it. And I don't know, even in the pictures, I don't really think you can tell, but they are green. They're bright green staples. So that was the last of the prompts for the Pick a Stick Challenge. I didn't use the 2 wild cards, sponge and repeat. I didn't need them, so that was fine. I wanted to do some finishing up. That's, of course, all the little fussy details that I like to do. I took that ink pad and I went around the outer edge of the page so that it matches up with the tag that's stapled on there. And then this is all sealed in, remember, because I put that matte medium over it. So I could use a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in brown. I didn't want to use any black on this. I just wanted to use brown. Very limited amount of black. And I went around all the glued on pieces and made a dark edge around them and then blended it out with a water brush. You could also use your finger, but I like to use the water brush. And it gives me a real kind of, it fades out to the edges, which I like. And this makes the things that are glued onto the page not look like stickers. They look like they're integrated into the page as if they were something that was there and not just stuck on. That's why I do this. I recommend it. I think that everyone should, but some people don't have the patience and they just stick things on and they don't do any shadows. So I did it. It's quick. I can do it quickly. I just do a little section at a time and then I go and blend it so that it doesn't have time to dry. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I think once I'm done with that, my other finishing touches on this one are Posca Pen, which I used a black. Oh, I guess I did put a little bit of pink on her cheeks and lips. I didn't think they were pink enough. And yeah, Posca Pen, fine tip black and fine tip white Posca Pen was what I used. I guess I filled in a little bit of white area there on her crown. That crown is made out of a ring, like a picture of a ring in a beauty magazine. So she's queen of dessert. Obviously, she's queen of dessert. Smart girl. I wanted to make her hair more crazy. When I cut out the picture, I couldn't cut around all her fun springy curls. So I didn't obviously, because I mean it would take forever to like try to cut around each individual hair that's sticking out. So I wanted to give her curls back. So I used the white, first the black, then the white to give her curls back. And then I did a bunch of white sketchy lines because this is a quirky page. Just sketchy quick. Not fussy, not fancy, just little highlights of weird sketchy stuff. So that finished the page. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, of course, leave me a comment, give it a thumbs up, of course, subscribe. I would like it if you subscribe. I'm very close to the next 1,000. So if you want to subscribe, that would be great. And of course, you can turn on your notification bells so that you know when my videos come out. Gives you a little notice when you log into YouTube that there's a new video from me. And of course, you can put this on Pinterest, share it on Facebook, all those different things. So here comes the close-ups, and that's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.